Okay, we're now recording, and I'm welcoming everybody to this network tutorial. What is today? Today is Wednesday, June 10th, and this is a tutorial about the WhatsApp app. And I just want to welcome everybody who's here. Thanks for joining. And I would like us to just pause for a moment and in gratitude for the land that we're doing our work on. And our network does have a land acknowledgement that we like to offer before gatherings. And it's that as a network of CAPC and CPNP projects, we acknowledge and give thanks to the First Peoples of the territories where we work and serve, and other Indigenous peoples for sharing this land with us, allowing us to do the work that we do with families. So with that, with gratitude and thanks, I'd like to introduce Larissa Adatia. Did I say it right, Larissa? Oh, you're muted.
Adatia, it's a hard T.
Adatia. Really much gratitude to you, Larissa, for being wrangled into coming in and leading us through just a little overview of the WhatsApp app. And I'm going to hand things over to you. And I don't know, would you like me to stay on camera or off, or what would you, how about I'll pop off camera and
do whatever feels best.
Okay, and you just let me know if you need anything, all right?
Sure thing, yeah.
Okay, over to you.
Yeah, okay, wow. So I am overwhelmed with the amount of people that have come. So I'm really hoping that I can meet your expectations. So my biggest disclaimer is that my main expertise with WhatsApp are one, being a millennial, and two, just kind of trial and error on my own. So this has been a new app for me. The reason why I started working with WhatsApp is because I am working with the CPNP project that is targeting for Low German Mennonites. So the language that they speak is primarily an oral communication language. And so they like to communicate through WhatsApp through a lot of the features that it has that many normal texting applications don't have. I'll go over kind of some of those features. But for me, with COVID happening, I had very little options for accessing this group of people that I'm supposed to be working with. They don't typically have access to using video conferencing or Zoom or kind of those things that we would look to first. So we're trying to find something that was culturally appropriate, and they seem to love their WhatsApp. So I'll give you a little bit of information about WhatsApp. And again, this is stuff that I've kind of gathered on my own. So it's an app.
Sorry to interrupt, but I didn't mention kind of where you're working, and would you mind just sharing with us the organization you're attached to?
Sure, yeah. So I'm working with the Woolwich Community Health Centre in St. Jacobs, Ontario. Like as I said, I'm working with the CPNP there.
Thank you.
Cover it? Okay.
That's great, thanks.
Yeah, so WhatsApp is an application for your phone that kind of combines texting with video messaging with what we would consider like for FaceTime, so kind of a video conferencing. It has a lot of these things that are all kind of mixed in together. So the biggest benefit of WhatsApp is that it uses your internet connection. So you don't have any SMS fees or fees for texting. And it's also used for international communication without those extra international fees. So a lot of our families have, that are participants in our program, they have families that are in Mexico, and they love it because they can have video conversations or just phone conversations that are through WhatsApp, so they don't get any of that charge that they would typically get if they were doing long distance calling. They also, you just need to have an internet service. So a lot of times they'll just use kind of free Wi-Fi access outside of McDonald's or wherever it is, that's libraries, anything that's access for them. So some of the features, so there's the voice call, as I said, kind of your normal phone call, the video call, so like FaceTime. It sends videos and photos very quickly. So how it does it, but they send them much faster than you would expect, even if you have very slow internet. So it can be good access to people who are in rural communities as well. You can also do group chats. So you can do individual chats with a person, like kind of normal texting back and forth, but you can also do group chats. So within those chats, you can have messages, photos, videos, up to 256 people. And so you can also have an unlimited number of groups as well. So if you have, you know, a group for one program or a group from another program, you can kind of keep them all separate. You can also get WhatsApp on your desktop. So it syncs your phone to your computer. So one of the things that I like best about having the desktop access is just the ease of sharing files. So for me, I typically share in my group recipes, sometimes some video demonstrations of like a recipe demonstration. And for me, it's been challenging to send myself that video to get it onto my phone to then put it through WhatsApp to share. Whereas if you have the version on your desktop, they kind of interface and they connect together so that you can just drag and drop files from your computer, which I find is really helpful. There are some limitations to the desktop version. Like I don't think you can post a status, which I'll talk about later, but primarily you can still communicate if you prefer to type your messages rather than texting on your phone. That can be an easy option for you to use it on your desktop as well. With respect to security, there's an end-to-end encryption for your messages and calls. I don't honestly know the details of that, but it sounds pretty good to me. So there is some level of security that your phone conversations aren't being, you know, tapped into or recorded or anything like that. Does anyone have any questions at this point? Am I speaking quickly? I know I tend to speak quickly.
Larissa, you're very understandable. You're doing well. Yeah. Okay. Does anybody feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question if you have one, Larissa, or also feel free to type it in the chat. That's also very welcome. And you're also welcome to hop on video if you want to ask a question. Just be aware we are recording this this whole time. So I'm not seeing any questions in the chat yet, so I think we're good.
So my plan was to, I think I've kind of demonstrated a little bit of what we're using the app for. A lot of our community does use it for just general phone calls, like I said, so they don't have to have a big plan that has a lot of minutes on it because you can just use it through Wi-Fi. And they also like, of course, the video part of it. And the group chats are great. And I think from a professional perspective, I really like the group chats. So I was thinking of going through basically showing you how the app works, how to kind of get yourself set up. I'm not sure if this is visible. I just wanted to show you kind of the general, it's a little different on the desktop. So that's why I just wanted to show you. So this is the main section here for chats. Okay. So basically all of your, can you see that okay?
I can see it, yeah.
So basically all of your chat messages come up here. You have your status section, which is essentially for those of you that are familiar with Facebook stories, or it's kind of like a Twitter, except so you can post anything you want, but it comes down after 24 hours. So if you think about it as, you know, like a Twitter that lasts a brief amount of time, or a Facebook story, usually you can put video or you can put photos, or you can just have a message saying, you know, Wednesday's camp is canceled. You know, let me know if you want to come, or anything like that. You can broadcast that out. You can also broadcast your status to only select people, which is also great. So if you have one particular group, for example, if you have, you know, a Wednesday program, you can just send it out to those people that, you know, the program's canceled or that it's delayed or can't wait to see you, things like that. So I have a person here who has just posted a status broadcast. So I just wanted to show you what it looks like. So she has, she's helping to sell some things. So she just has a couple of photos of things that she's wanting to sell. So she just has a caption saying free. So you just click on that and that will be there for 24 hours. And then you can reply to that to say, oh, I really want to purchase that. Does that explain broadcasting well enough? So with your phone, you can't broadcast, you can broadcast through your phone. Through the desktop app, you can't do the broadcast as far as I can tell. So that's just something that you can do within the that phone app.
Larissa, I guess I could use a little more help in understanding the difference between, say, a status update or a broadcast. Are they different things?
No, sorry, and I think the terminology is interchangeable.
Right.
So they call it status, but it's technically called like a broadcast. So it's the same idea.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So so for example, I can show you here. So this is me, and this is my status here. So if I click on that, I can take a picture and then put that as my status. Or I can click the little pencil and then I can write in, you know, excited, it's Wednesday. And then send that out, send it. So then that's now my status. So people will see that and yeah, for 24 hours.
Oh, it kind of goes where your picture was before.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
That's cool. I might notice goofy things. So
okay. So yeah, so that's one of those features that I personally haven't been using a lot of, but it's kind of a neat idea, like I said, to kind of send out those messages to a large number of people. Okay, so I did want to talk about how to set it up. So this is an app that you get through the app store, or I don't have an Android, but I'm assuming there's some kind of app store through Android as well. It's a free program, so you just go to WhatsApp. There's a business version. I don't really think it's applicable, at least in my case. I couldn't figure out why it would be beneficial. So I just got the standard WhatsApp version. So you download the app. And then you're gonna log in for the first time. So one of the challenges I think with the WhatsApp is that it uses your phone number. So for privacy reasons, if you're using, you know, a personal phone and you're doing this for work, then you're going to be giving away your phone number. I decided that it was more important for me to have this access to the community. I don't know if you had a work cell phone, then you could probably use that phone number instead. But you do have to connect it to a cell phone number.
And Larissa, does your phone number appear? So somebody could click on your user information and they would see your phone number, or?
Yeah, so that I am not 100% sure, but I believe the answer is yes. I think just because the people that I mostly have contacts with, that were already phone contacts, so it's hard to say, but I believe that there is, they can see your phone number.
Right. So you're saying if you have a work phone, it's not as much of an issue, but you have to decide.
Yeah, and now that I think more on it, I'm about 95% sure they do see your phone number, because if they are not a phone contact, like if you haven't saved them as this is Larissa, it would I think just the phone number appears in the message. So when I'm sending messages in a group, it would just have my phone number.
Now, had somebody else tried to ask a question? I think thought I heard somebody. No. Okay.
So once you have that set up, so you've attached your phone number to the program, you've had it all downloaded, to connect it to your desktop. So again, you have to download the app through your phone, or sorry, through the App Store onto your computer. And then there's a way to sync it where it'll send a QR code, which is I'm hoping you guys know what that is. It's basically like a black and white kind of like barcode. And then you just hold your phone up, open them together, scan, and then it connects it. And I haven't had to reconnect it. So it just had to do it the one time. And now they're still in sync. So every time I open the WhatsApp on my desktop, it mirrors what is seen on my phone.
To be honest, I didn't know what a QR code is, but I think I know what you mean. It's the scanny thing with all the black and white splotches that you scan. Okay.
Exactly. It kind of looks like an ancient Aztec kind of symbol. I'm going to try to share. Oh, Sydney, do you think that you could allow me to share my screen?
Yes, let me give you co-host privileges. There you go. You should be able to.
Okay. So this is an example of, you get a pretty similar look at this. Like it's pretty similar to what's on your phone. I know that picture looks like some kind of weird X-ray or ultrasound, but
it does.
it's a meme with guinea pigs on it, actually.
Oh, it's cute. Not scary at all.
Yeah. So this is kind of the chat section. So with your chats, you'll be able to see, like I said, you can have a bunch of messages, whether it's just one person at a time or all of your groups. They all kind of show up. The most recent one comes to the top. So it's kind of similar to what you would see with other messaging programs. There are a couple of features that when you see beside a person's profile, it'll say when they were last on WhatsApp. And so it just says like last seen, and it'll tell you when they were on it last.
There's a question here.
Yeah.
Lori says, you are referring to desktop. I assume it works with a laptop too.
Yes. Yeah. So the computer version, whether it's desktop, yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Okay. So this is just an example of a test group, and these are actually some people, like this is a real person, so she might wonder why I'm messaging her weird things, but I'll just give an example here. So you type your message across the bottom, so I can say hello, and then you press the send button, and then it gets sent. So when you're sending a message, the little check marks, so when it has 2 check marks, that means that it's been sent. Hopefully you can see those in the bottom right corner of my picture, or my message that I sent. And then when they turn blue, it means that they have been read. So you see my guinea pig meme has been read, so they're blue check marks. And the check marks are gray here because they haven't been read yet. So it's kind of like BlackBerry Messenger, if anyone has had a BlackBerry before, that it would kind of give that red message.
Facebook
red
does that too, right?
What's that, sorry?
Facebook does that too. You can see when somebody's read your your messenger post. Right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So so this is again the desktop or computer version. So you can add emoticons, you can add a GIF, you can add documents if you'd like to. You can essentially just drag and drop a document to put it in there. And you can also do the voice record. So I don't know if I've talked too much about that yet, but that is one of the main reasons as well that our families use the WhatsApp, is because they can voice record a message, and then they don't have to text it. So for example, here I'm saying testing, I send the message, and then here I'm saying testing, and I hate how my voice sounds. I'm sure it doesn't sound like that in real life. But yeah, so then you can just play messages back and forth between yourself and the other person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, yeah, that's really neat. Mhm.
Yeah, so one of the benefits to that, so when we're running a group program, we are doing a lot of translation because we're working with groups that don't speak English very well. So I will leave a message in English, and then we have our translator who will be able to reply to that message and then leave the translation there as well, so that the people can hear my original message and then with the translated message just after it as well.
That's really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So it's a pretty similar process when you're on your phone as well. It's just that you're holding down the microphone. You hold the microphone button as long as you're talking, and then as soon as you lift your hand, then the message sends. You can also drag it to the side to put it in the trash bin if you don't want to send that message and you want to re-record. On the desktop or the computer version, it's a little bit more friendly because you can just click that X if you don't like it, and then it disappears.
Neat.
So I think, does everyone understand kind of the process of sending a message? So again, here's with the little written pencil icon, you can just send a new message. So if I wanted to send a message to someone, you just kind of click that. You can search your contacts and then write a message to that person or speak a message to that person. And then, so this is an example here when it's a voice message, you know how I was saying the check marks, if they're gray, they haven't been sent but not read, and they're blue when they've been read. It's similar, it's just green with the microphone to show that it was a voice message. So this says it's a voice message that I haven't yet listened to. Once I listen to it, it'll turn blue.
Larissa, though, presuming, say, in a group, if we had a group for a program, there'd be, a few people in it. Would you be able to see when everybody hears or reads your message, or just one person? Like, do you know how that works with a group of people?
Group message. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think you wouldn't know. You only know if I'm just
Probably.
back to my private messages to see. No, it just sends, so it shows you that it's been sent. So you don't know if they've heard it or not, if it's a group message.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. The only reason why you're seeing that in my test group here is because it's actually just 2 people in the group.
Right.
So that's why it's showing it in that one.
Makes sense.
Okay, the next thing I wanted to go through, so you know how to send a message now. You can do it either with a texting, if it's on your phone, or you can hold down the microphone to send a message that's a voice message, or on the computer, you can just type it, or again, send the microphone. To reply to a message, you hold down the message, and I don't know if this will work because it's been my own. Oh, I can. Okay, so you can forward a message through, or you can just click reply. And so when I was talking about having somebody translate our messages, so I would have the translator reply to my message with the translation. So if I said, so for example, this part I said in English, the translator would then go reply. So my original message will come up at the top, and then they would be able to send a second message that's going to also translate. So then it comes up like this. So this is the original message, and then this is the translated version.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so it can be really handy. You also have the option in a group message to reply privately. So you can reply like this to the whole group, or you can reply privately, which starts a new conversation with that person. So I've used this a couple times. If a participant has said something that I'm worried about how they're feeling or something to that effect, then I would be able to just click again on their message, reply privately, and then I would start a new message to say, oh, do you want to talk about that? Or if there's something that they might need that I can provide for them. You can also mention a person. So this is similar to Facebook, where you do the @ sign, and then you can tag a person. So if you're in a group, you can do the @ sign, tag the person, and then they will get notification that you've specifically called them out in the group.
Right.
I did talk about the status update. So trying to think of, you can make, so when I was talking a little bit about the status update, and I said you can make a broadcast list. So this is the status update here. Like I said, I don't believe from the computer version you can make a new one. I think you can only just view them. On your phone though, you can make a broadcast list. So a list of the certain number of people that you want. So if you have, again, Wednesday programming, you can send out that message specifically to that group of people. And
as a broadcast.
As a broadcast, yeah. And it'll disappear within 24 hours.
Okay, so they don't, what's the word, like sort of history or archive, like say Facebook does, where you can scroll back.
Right, no, so this is more of like a Facebook story where it disappears in 24, or Instagram has a story and it disappears after 24 hours.
I have to admit, I've yet to really wrap my brain around the whole concept of stories. So you're helping me learn even there. Thank you. That's the idea around Facebook and Instagram stories, is that they kind of disappear as.
Yes, they do. Yeah. So people might just, it's kind of like a temporary, this is what I'm doing today kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess you could just watch everyone else's, and then they, like I said, they kind of show up here and you can kind of just see like what they have up for today. And you can reply as well on the bottom. So I can say, oh, I want that sofa. And that will go in to make a new message with this person.
So Larissa, for programming purposes, what I think I understood you say is that that sort of broadcast could say something like group is canceled tomorrow because it's storming, or bring your favorite recipe to share to group, or just any kind of messaging.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, you could send a photo as well. So if you wanted to send a photo of, you know, a ball and say, oh, we're going to play with, you know, some sporting activities tomorrow or something like that, you can also send a photo with it.
Right.
Just looking again for, and I'd be willing to, I don't know if it would be helpful, I can also send out kind of a little bit of a document as well of, you know, if you wanted to get started, kind of the different steps to make a group, to make a new chat, that kind of thing.
Larissa, if you're willing to do that, I think that would be well received, and we'd appreciate that. I'd be happy to forward it on.
Sure. Okay. Trying to think if there are any other things. I think that's kind of enough to get started. So, so you can also, one other feature is that you can archive your messages as well. Basically, it just pulls them out of your stream. So I had quite a few more that I just wanted to remove for privacy because we're recording. And so you can just click the bottom and say archive. So it just kind of disappears for a little while, but the next time that a message comes up from that group, it'll just come back into your message box. So it kind of just cleans it up a little bit if you have a lot of messages with individuals and you want to just kind of put it aside because you haven't, or you've maybe already dealt with it, but you don't want to delete it for record purposes.
Okay, so would you say, like, even if we weren't in this COVID situation, would this be something you would have used in terms of your work in community, especially with low German speaking families?
Yeah, so one of our workers with the program, she's also kind of works as a translator. She uses it all the time to communicate with our participants. Now she does speak Low German, and so she, of course, you know, she's a whiz at using it. But I think that it would be helpful, honestly, to give updates about programming changes, or, you know, I think even just reminding people that a program is coming up or anything like that. I think that absolutely would be helpful to continue using that. And like I said, with the voice, I know a lot of our families don't have any language that they are comfortable with reading, and so you can leave a voice message to say something, and then they can oftentimes understand oral English a little bit better than written. So so they like that. I think for us during COVID, it's been really great to hear everyone's voices. And I think that's what they've been saying the most. We've been running this is that, even if they're not understanding all the words I'm saying in English, they're excited to hear my voice again and hear each other's voices, to hear us saying, what are you up to? How are you doing? People are sending pictures of things that they're baking or their garden. And it's just been a really good way to connect.
That's really nice. So, and I'm definitely seeing you're making great use of this tool in terms of, connecting and sharing program information. Are you using it to actually deliver program content, would you say?
Yeah.
So it's talking a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's not in a traditional way at all, where we, potentially would be, I think in an ideal world, we would be having a Zoom meeting with everybody and, everyone's live at the same time.
Right.
But we're kind of doing an abstract version of it, where we start our conversation at 1:00 every Wednesday to say, welcome everyone, what was your week like? What have you been cooking this week? Or, what kind of, whatever theme that we want to talk about. And then I'm giving the recipe, I'm telling them all the steps on how to make the recipe. So what we would similarly be doing normally. And then, kind of asking them questions about how, if they've been cooking other things, if they understand. So, I mean, it's a different version. We have our child support person who's kind of asking and giving suggestions throughout the chat about, it's really hot lately. Maybe you could try water balloons or things like that. So we're working together as a team to still provide suggestions and provide that kind of education, but it's really abstract compared to what we're used to.
For sure.
We've also shared, so we made a YouTube channel, and surprisingly we had a lot of views actually. So so far we've just been doing recipe demos through the YouTube channel, but we may start utilizing that a little bit more to provide more content, because we're really surprised at how many views we were getting. I think the first video had about 30 views, and a lot of them had actually shared with family members in Mexico. So we thought that, that the YouTube would not be something that they would watch, but they seem to be doing it.
That is awesome. I don't know if you see, there's a question here from Shaheen. How many people can join a video call through WhatsApp? And are you delivering services through the video feature?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I'm trying to think, if it was a video, I think the video call is only 1-to-1. I don't think you can do a video call with a group of people.
Right.
So it doesn't have that Zoom type of functionality.
Right.
So my answer to the video call would be, I think, just one other person. And no, so far we haven't been delivering services through the video feature. But that being said, I mean, I know it feels like we've been in our COVID situation for a really long time, but it still feels relatively new with doing all these new programming initiatives. I think that that may be something that we do, especially if it's more of a, an in-depth conversation that you're trying to have with that person. Our participants don't love the video part specifically because they're just a little bit more shy. But I think that would be great to have one-on-one. Like if you were doing any level of conferencing or consulting or anything like that, to do the one-on-one, I think that would make sense.
Great. Does anybody else have questions or comments, either for Larissa or just, thinking together about the potential for this app in terms of connecting with our communities and program participants? Feel free to speak up or type it in the chat. And So in the meantime, Larissa, what would you say would be the biggest challenge for in terms of using this app for connecting?
I think that there is a requirement for the live, like being in person with it when you're trying to really keep things moving. So for us, I think our moms, they have quite a few more kids with them than usual because schools have been closed. I think they're busy. They don't have that same structure of attending our program. And so sometimes, if it's a nice day, we just don't have that much participation. And then we have participation, at 6 p.m. or 4 p.m. And it's kind of, you want to still engage with those people, but then there's also, your own work restrictions that you may not be able to respond to everybody on those off hours, and you kind of miss the live version of it. So I think maintaining it being a regular program has been tough, but in some ways, like, we do have a lot of participants that are coming, that are, chiming in every week, and a lot of people who are listening every week. So again, there's a little bit of shyness in our community, but I think they have said that they really like listening, even though they may not be leaving messages or participating.
Yeah, important to keep in mind for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not seeing any questions from folks, so I think, oh, here we go. Maureen, how do you sell the app to your participants? Do you find they were using it already, or did you have to introduce it to them?
Yeah, so for us, they absolutely were using it already, and that was kind of what directed me to try to jump on the bandwagon with it, because it was something that they were really familiar with, and they're definitely more skilled at it than me, for sure. To sell it to them, I think you may want to, I think the idea that it is like using Wi-Fi versus using any kind of data plan, I think that that's a big benefit. I think a lot of people do have international family members or friends, and then once you're on WhatsApp, then you can kind of use it for any of those purposes. So just if they just set it up, go through the process of setting it up, it actually is very simple to set up. It's just a little bit more complex to and even that, it's not complex, but it's a little bit more of a challenge to figure out, okay, how do I do this? How do I do that? Like the same way you would with any new application. But I think, yeah, for any kind of phone use, like if they have issues with having not enough minutes on their plan or anything like that, I think it's great to use it for those purposes.
Awesome. Well, this has been really great. Thank you so much, Larissa, for taking time to take us through this this tool for connecting, and for being willing to be roped in by me. I think, or was it last week we were chatting? So it was. Oh, and hello, Sarah has popped on to say hi. Hi, nice to see you, Sarah.
Yeah, I mean, I wish that there was maybe an easier way for me to to show you exactly what we're doing, but just because the desktop or the computer version is a little bit different than the phone. But I'm hoping that people at least have the confidence to check it out. And there's also a lot of good tutorials online as well. Like if you just Google WhatsApp, even on their own website, they have a lot of FAQs to kind of get you started. But I think just playing around with it, a lot of my colleagues also had to do the same, just kind of starting up, seeing what you can do. And other than that, once you kind of know those basic steps, like the status, the groups, the single chats, and how to leave messages, it's pretty straightforward, and it's pretty simple to use.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again. And I want to thank everybody who joined us this afternoon. It's great to have such a wonderful turnout. And I believe, Larissa, you had said something about maybe an info sheet or something like that, that we can send out to everybody, which is awesome. And so with that, I guess, unless there's any other final thoughts or final questions anybody has, I guess just expressing our gratitude to you, Larissa, for your time. And yeah, it's been really great that that you could join us. So have a lovely afternoon, everybody, and stay cool if you're in the heat wave, and stay safe and stay well. So take care. And thanks again, Larissa. I don't know if you're seeing the gratitude in the chat there.
Yes, I am. Yeah, that's great. I'm glad that that people learned a little bit, even if it's just exposure to see what it's all about.
Definitely. Very helpful. So thanks again. You're a real good sport for doing this.
Thanks, Brittany.